Ladies and gentlemen, please notice that exits are conveniently located at the front and rear of this auditorium. When leaving the theater, we suggest that the exit at the front of the auditorium will allow you easier access to the parking areas. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Mike Field.
I'm Mike Butler.
And welcome to Forgotten Cinema Lead Up. Each episode, we highlight a film from a popular series and follow it all the way to the most recent release. We'll discuss what we love about the movie or perhaps don't love about it, but we'll always recommend you revisit it, even the not-so-good ones. So let's get into it. What's going on, Mike?
Not a whole lot. I found out my grandfather passed away, moved to a dirt farm, found out he was a Ghostbuster.
Dirt farmer.
Started busting ghosts, and reunited with him once again.
Did it make him feel good?
It made me feel good, Mike. It made me feel good.
It does. That's what I hear. So that's right. We are basically coming to the end of the Ghostbusters, the lead-up series with Ghostbusters. Well, all the movies that came prior to the new release, which is Frozen Empire, which we will be doing live for our patrons, and then it'll come out later for everyone else, just to kind of get a little taste of what we've been doing. So this is it. Let's get into it. Ghostbusters Afterlife has a runtime of 124 minutes. It's rated PG-13, the first PG-13 one, right? Well, I mean, I guess if you're counting the first PG-13 one of the original storyline, because we're not counting
in the Prime universe, in universe
yeah.
Uno.
Is that what they say? Is that what they say?
I don't know if they have a name for it yet. I'm sure they'll come up with it.
Production budget of $75 million. It came out on November 19th, 2021, which is a Friday, which is the first Ghostbusters film that didn't come out in the summer, but we'll get into that, why it's like that. Opening weekend did $44 million, domestic $129 million, international $75 million, and worldwide $204 million. Production company was Columbia Pictures, Braun Creative, and Ghost Corp. And distributed by Sony Pictures Releasing. Obviously, I think Sony Pictures did the last one as well. I said it came out on the 19th. It went up against in a wide release King Richard, the movie that won Will Smith his Oscar. And then also a little bit of release, Black Friday. Did you ever see Black Friday? Actually, I own a copy of it. Wink. But I've never watched it. And that's the one about where that's like they're demons or zombies or something, right? During a Black Friday sale. You don't remember that?
Oh,
Bruce
yes.
Campbell's in it.
Michael J. White's in it too, I believe, right? Yeah,
I think so. Yeah. I never watched it.
I wanted to, but I wanted to. Sometimes you get those holiday movies. Same with like Violent Night or whatever with the strange David Harbour. I wanted to watch it, and then I kind of went after Christmas. So it's like, all right, now I have to wait till Christmas comes back around before I watch it again.
And you haven't watched it yet? Violent Night?
Oh, I keep forgetting.
Come on, man.
I almost watched it a couple weeks ago, and then I was like, you know what? It's not Christmas. I gotta wait till it comes around again.
Oh, yes. Okay, stickler. All right,
it's
so the week after,
I just watch it whenever.
Yes, you can. The week after was the Thanksgiving holiday. So you have Wednesday for those who know. You may not know when Thanksgiving holiday comes around. The big releases come out on the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. So obviously for the whole 5-day weekend, you had Encanto in a wide release, House of Gucci, Resident Evil, Welcome to Raccoon City, which I completely forgot that
everyone forgot about that.
And then a limited release, Drive By Car, which we were just talking about, Butler.
We were
off air. You also had on that Friday in a limited release, Licorice Pizza, the Paul Thomas Anderson film. The week prior,
I remember people having a lot of problem with that poster when it came out.
Oh, that's right. It's a nice poster in terms of that 70s style, but whatever. Yes. I mean, did you ever see the movie?
No.
Do you watch movies anymore? I mean, like, what do you?
I think I remembered you telling me you weren't a fan.
No, I was not a fan of Licorice Pizza. No, I didn't like it, and I mean, this is not. I mean, there's a plentiful reasons of why I didn't like it, but I know somebody who watched it who actually grew up in that area of California, and she was telling me that she loved it because she just remembered, like, that was what her childhood was like. So I was like, oh, that's cool. But I just didn't like some of the stuff in the story. But I am a big Paul Thomas Anderson fan, so what are you going to do? So on the week before, the 12th of November, you had Belfast in a wide release, which I liked quite a bit. That is the Kenneth Branagh directed film.
Belfast is pretty good.
Yeah, Belfast is, I really like that film.
That was nominated, right?
Yeah, I think it was nominated for Best Picture. I think Best Actor, Best Actress. I'm not sure. Or Best Supporting Actors, because I know Judi Dench was nominated for that. I know that. But yeah. So, anyways, Ghostbusters Afterlife was directed by Jason Reitman, who's done Juno and Up in the Air, and obviously is Ivan Reitman's son. Written by Gil Keenan and Jason Reitman. We've done a movie of Gil Keenan's Butler. We did Monster House in season 2.
Indeed.
Yeah.
2 or
And
3.
he also did the 2, I think it was 2, but don't quote me on that. He also did the 2015 remake of Poltergeist, which I kind of don't mind. I'd have to watch it again, but I wasn't so down on that as I am probably most remakes. Reitman has written Thank You for Not Smoking and The Frontrunner. He's also directed those. Cinematographer was Eric Steelberg, who's done 500 Days of Summer and Uncharted, Butler's favorite. Composer was Rob Simonson, who's done The Way Back, a movie that we covered. The Atom Project, which is a movie, and The Whale, which Brendan Fraser won the Oscar for. Edited by Dana Glauberman and Nathan Orloff. Glauberman has done No Strings Attached, Draft Day, and Creed 2, and Orloff has done John Wick Chapter 4 and Plan B. And this was produced by Ivan Reitman, who's done most of the Ghostbusters, and produced by Patrice Avery, who's his first time producing, or her first time producing. I'm not sure. I should have checked that. That's on me. Whole new cast of characters. Yes, the mainstays are in there. We got Venkman Stant, Murray, Aykroyd, Hudson, Annie Potts, Sigourney Weaver, but she's in a post-credit scene, or mid-credit scene, excuse me. So they are all in this film. I guess the main guys it's probably a little bit more than a cameo, but I would consider Potts and Weaver a cameo.
Sure.
But yeah, so you had Carrie Coon as Callie, who plays the daughter of Egon Spengler. She's in Gone Girl, the TV show The Leftovers, and season 3 of Fargo, which is a really good TV show. You should catch that. Paul Rudd as Gary Gruberson, which is the ridiculous name. Like,
I mean, they make fun of it in the movie.
They do, but it's just like, why? I almost feel like they wanted to call him Gooberson, and they were like, we can't do that. Let's just put the R in there. Everyone's probably going to know him as Ant-Man. He's also an Anchorman if you don't know that movie. Finn Wolfhard as Trevor. He is the grandson of Egon and the son, obviously, of Callie. He's in TV show Stranger Things, of course, and It Chapter 1. He's in a little bit of Chapter 2, but he's mostly It Chapter 1. McKenna Grace as Phoebe, who is the daughter. She's in Malignant and a TV show The Handmaid's Tale, among other things. And then you had Logan Kim as Podcast. I still don't like that name. He's in the TV show The Walking Dead, Dead City. It's Celeste O'Connor as Lucky, and she's from Madam Web, that just came out, which I hear is really great and freaky. And then you had
add it to the forgotten cinema list.
Exactly. I know, right? And then like the rest of the cast is just, I guess they're there. Like you had like J.K. Simmons as Eva Shandor, who appears for a hot second. You have Bokeem Woodbine in there, plays the sheriff, who's Lucky's father. Josh Gad is the voice of one of the ghosts. Tracy Letts, who's the hardware store owner. The only reason I mention him is that's Carrie Coon's husband. And so then you have Olivia Wilde as Gozer, but that's not her voice; it's someone else's voice. And then I think that
voice is the president from The Expanse.
Oh, maybe. I didn't. You know what? I saw the name. You sure?
I didn't check the credits. That was just the voice is so recognizable. I was like, that's gotta be it.
Maybe. And then I didn't realize this. I didn't actually realize that they actually had Bob Gunn play Egon, and they just put Harold Ramis's face over him. So if you remember, for those who remember Shawshank Redemption, the warden in Shawshank Redemption, he's actually playing.
Oh, really?
Yes. So he's playing the farmer. He's playing the dirt farmer in the scenes where you can't really see his face. But then when he's standing there, and he's obviously Egon, and they have Harold Ramis's. For those who don't know, Harold Ramis passed away in 2014. They have Harold Ramis's face on him. That's him as well. And then Ivan Reitman is like his hand at one point when he's steadying Phoebe's hold on the proton pack, which is the blaster. So I thought that I didn't realize that, but I thought that was pretty cool.
They had to do a body double, yeah. So yes, the voice of Gozer was Shura Agdashlu.
Good luck with that name. Yeah,
I'm sorry, but yes, she plays the president in The Expanse, and she's awesome.
For those who have listened to the show before, the main show, you know that we're big fans of The Expanse. We've talked about it repeatedly. I think for the first couple seasons, I was trying to get Butler to watch it, and then he finally did watch it. So, and obviously, I was right. And once again, I'm going to revisit the fact that he has yet to see For All Mankind. But whatever, we'll move on. We'll move on. All right, Mike. Where would you like to start here? What would
I
you
guess
like to talk about? How many
I
times you
I want
cried
to
in the movie?
I want to start off with it's that's once, and that's when Egon comes back. Uh, what do you think of this film? Because I know what I think about it, but you always ask what I think of the film. I'm curious to know what you think about it, especially on a. I know you said it was decent before, but what you thought your
Yeah.
second watch?
Well, this is actually my third watch because I know I
Oh, really?
watched it
Okay,
in the theater. I think we did we watch this together in the theater?
must have.
So 2021, we're still there. We must have watched it together in the theater. So we watched it together, and I know I watched it at home with Jody, and I think I don't know if one of the kids watched it. I know. So this is the third time watching it. I Something I didn't realize this time around is that I didn't realize because we never talked about this when we talked about Ghostbusters 2. The composer in Ghostbusters 2 didn't use any of the music from Ghostbusters. He kind
Right.
of he It's a completely different theme.
I
So
didn't know, but yeah, it never came up when we were talking. Yeah.
right, right. So then when Afterlife starts, as soon as you see the Sony logo in this movie, you hear the opening from Ghostbusters. So it feels more like a Ghostbusters film. It feels like you're just like, okay. And then you start hearing some of the other notes and some of the other themes from the first movie that are in this movie. So I thought that was I appreciated that a little bit more now. I do like this film. I just really still feel the first 45 minutes is slow. Like I feel like it takes too long to get to where it needs to get to. And that's probably a nitpick. It doesn't make me hate the film. I just was like, what was like, can we go now? Can we like it just I felt like I was dragging a little bit. Maybe it's 10 minutes long, too long for me, 15, but it just starts really it's nice. It's a nice buildup, but then it's just like it keeps building, and we're into the second act, and I'm like, let's get to it. But that being said, I do enjoy it. I do like it. I like the first chase scene when they're chasing Muncher, the ghost that eats metal. That whole scene's really good. Obviously, the ending's really good. So I enjoyed my biggest thing is just I just thought it kind of was a little long in the tooth in the beginning, the first 45 minutes. I don't know how if you felt the same way or if you just love it immensely.
Um, I really, really I don't know if I love it immensely, but I do really like it. I think it's nostalgia done right for the most part.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, I think the nostalgia all services the story, whereas we talk a lot about, especially you talk about Stranger Things, a lot of the times the nostalgia is the story or the nostalgia is just like there to be like, "Hey guys."
Yeah,
Um,
they definitely mine 80s nostalgia and Stranger Things too much. Like it's never like that. It's fun to see, but it was never like that.
right. So I like that. I do agree that it's maybe a little long before they get ghost busting, but I the main thing I noticed this watch was just like, just say you're a Spengler. Why are we taking 45 minutes?
Yeah,
We see it on the
yeah.
walls, the writing's right there. No audience member is gonna be so dumb they don't know right away who they're the family members of. Just like when the big reveals were Spanglers when they're in the car during Act 2 when they're chasing Muncher. I'm just like, finally, come on.
Hmm.
So I
Yeah,
thought
I
that
didn't.
was a little much.
Yeah. Do you
I
think that
felt
was like on purpose? Like I not to cut you off, but do you think
I
that
think
not
so.
saying their name in the first 45 minutes or whatever, however long, was on purpose? You think so?
I think so. I think it's to get this kind of payoff, like, "Oh, they're
Mm.
Spanglers,"
But we
and,
know
like,
that.
it's so heavy-handed at the beginning, yeah, it's a problem with a lot of people that do movies now, like, they think the audience is dumb, and don't
Mhm.
get me wrong, people are dumb, but people have also been watching these kind of movies for years and years and years and years. The
Mhm.
audience isn't
Mhm.
that dumb when
Right,
you're
right.
heavy-handedly spoon feeding, like, forcing their mouth open and speeding them helpings of Egon Spangler. I mean, you see it on his, oh, certificates, for God's sake, in the basement scene just a little
Mhm.
bit before that. So I do think that was a little force-fed. I think the Finn Wolfhard, like, I like this girl at a burger shop stuff, that could be cut
Yeah,
down. That
I
slows it
didn't
down a little bit.
I didn't understand. I mean, does it give it is it there to give him something to do so that it's not just Phoebe's story and he's
I
got a
think
piece
so.
of it? Yeah.
It's also, let's get the Stranger Thing kid some more airtime.
Well,
He's
he's
the name
obviously a
of
bigger
that
name
family,
at
yeah.
this point. I know she's obviously up and coming right now, but like he was the bigger name at this point, so I get that. I mean, that's just that's Hollywood.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it just kind of Yeah, I mean, that's probably maybe that's what adds to my, "Can we get there? Can we get to this moment? Can we get to this part?" Like, that kinda stuff, for me, because they're trying to set all that up. Uh, what about do what did you think of Callie, the daughters, like, just her anger in the beginning? Just kinda like her just like, she just does not like her father.
I liked it because there
Yeah,
was no, like, hint of, like, "Oh, but actually," like, it's just like, no, she's pissed at him. She doesn't
right.
like her father, and there's no, like, subtle off-screen, like, little music playing while she looks up listlessly, like, but only if daddy loved me." Like, she grew into her own person. She hated her
Mhm,
father. She didn't need her father. So it's
mhm,
like, it's nice that she finds out, which even the kids say, "It's great you're having your own revelation, but, like, we're hunting a ghost now." Like, it's
mhm.
nice that she has that revelation, and it's a very nice moment at the end of the movie with Egon's ghost.
Yes.
Spoilers, but I don't know why you're watching this if you haven't watched
I
it yet.
think I think people know already we spoil stuff,
Yeah.
so
So that's a very nice moment, but I love her anchor. I think her anchor is earned and deserved. She was kind of left on her own.
Mhm.
And I think that that works.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. Um, I I kinda like, I know that Paul Rudd I feel like Paul Rudd plays the same type of guy in a lot of his films, and that's fine. That's not a knock, that's just what it is. Um, and, but he's actually, like, he's a little different in this one where he's more like he's a fan. Like, he's a fan of the Ghostbusters, he's a fan of all that,
Right.
so and he doesn't c and he and when he I always think about the time when they go on the date and he comes back and he's just like he's completely chill with whatever, like, even though they were like even though that they're in jail, he's in there looking at the proton pack, he's like, "Whoa," like,
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh, yeah,
That's
I won't
cool.
touch this."
That's yeah.
Yeah. So, I thought that was cool. So I did like I mean, it is still Paul Rudd playing a part, but it's a little bit. It's not the Paul Rudd that I guess I'm used to from Ant-Man or from the other stuff that he's been in, where it's just him, his personality.
I like that he's a little more positive in this one, possibly
Yeah,
because he's a fan. He's a little disaffected because of, having to teach summer school, but,
true.
he's super into the earthquakes, he's super into this. A lot of Paul Rudd stuff, he is playing Paul Rudd, but he's Paul Rudd with some kind of crisis. Paul Rudd in a midlife crisis or a 30-year crisis or a 20-year crisis. It's always that same Paul Rudd in a crisis. Any movie we've done with him in it or I've seen with him. But when you do
Sure. Not
this film, like
Anchorman,
you
but
said,
yeah.
yeah, not Anchorman. But here he's a fan, he's happy, he's, trying to woo Callie, he's trying
Hmm.
to, um, be part of this whole Ghostbusters experience, and I think it works for the most part. Seeing a Paul Rudd that's not so down on life, kind of,
Hmm.
but a little bit more positive. I think he
And
brings
he,
a
yeah.
much needed, like, comedic edge where he's jokey, but he's also kind of an actual person, kind of like
Hmm.
Ray and Egon and Venkman were in the first movies. Like, he's there, he's a fan, he knows his stuff, but he's not a person. But
Hmm.
he's not a
Hmm.
caricature either, because you could so easily go the super fan route and have him be obnoxious about it too.
Hmm. I could see like not that I want to recast people, but I could see like a Sam Rockwell in that role. Like, in
Oh,
this role
absolutely,
too. I
yeah.
can see that him doing well, and Rudd, the whole scene, the Gruberson scene in the Walmart is a really good scene. It's funny. It's got like really cool stuff. All the little Stay Puffs, which are really cool.
And
Um,
real animatronic, Gozer guys, the
it's
key
great.
master.
Yeah, but
Yep.
it's great to. I mean, when he when uh the beast, the hellhounds he's eating the dog food and like and he's in this he's almost in the same position as he was in the first movie in the closet in Tully's closet. It's just like
Yep.
awesome. Like it's really nice when you can see the practical. I don't care how fake it looks. And obviously it's not fake when he's chasing him. It obviously looks better, but
Right.
so that's cool. But that whole scene's really good. So one of the things I wanted to talk about, because I think this isn't a knock on the movie, but I think why this movie probably didn't do as much as it could have done was because this movie's a post-pandemic movie. This movie was filmed July 2019 to October 2019 and was set for a wide release on July 10th, 2020.
I remember
Obviously, we
that.
know what happened. Yeah, obviously, we're in quarantine or we're basically just coming out of quarantine. But Butler and I are at the theater at this time, and I don't even think we're open.
No, at that point, we're, like, cleaning up, expecting to open
Yeah, playing
August, I think,
yeah,
that year.
throwing things around the lobby, laughing that we're getting, unemployment. So then it got pushed to March 5th, 2021, and then we're open then. But quite honestly, the theaters probably haven't recovered. No matter what they tell you about movies are back, the theaters are not as back as they were before the pandemic. So it was going to come out March 5th, and they got pushed again because the pandemic was still going on. This is 2021. Then it got delayed again to June 11th, 2021. So basically almost a full year later, next summer. But there were concerns that it wasn't time to bring audiences back to the theaters. Like, people weren't coming. They still weren't coming.
Right.
So they pushed it again. That's where you get the November date. But it still didn't do it still didn't do the business it would have done if COVID never happened. Do you know what I mean? Like, there was
Agreed,
no,
yep.
I mean, this would have been a huge promotional push. I remember the poster came out, we had to take it down. Posters coming out again, we had to put the date back on or whatever. Like,
Yeah,
it
it's
just,
stickers.
you would have seen McDonald's meals, you would have seen, or Burger King, you would have seen it in all these like different Drake's cakes, and it would have been just like it is now with Frozen Empire. You would have seen it everywhere.
Yeah.
And I think it's tough to judge this movie based upon its performance because it didn't have a leg to stand on. I don't know how you feel about that.
No, I agree. I don't think theaters came back at all until till Spider-Man: No Way Home. Till that movie came
Fully
out,
came back.
that was, I mean, you were gone by then. That was one of the busiest I'd ever seen in theaters. But again, that it had to be a huge movie. It had to be the
Top Gun
biggest theater
Maverick.
of all
Yeah.
time. Top Gun was busy, but Top Gun wasn't
I meant like a
Spider-Man.
big movie. I meant like a big movie event. Like,
Yeah.
for people to come. Yeah.
I don't think Ghostbusters was never gonna be that movie that gets everybody back because you had the stink bomb that was, Ghostbusters Answer the Call. I think that
True.
soured a lot of people to begin with.
But I agree with you. But the original cast is back in this one. It's a continuation of the original.
Yeah, but the
I think
original
that's what's
cast
going
was
for it.
in Answer the Call, technically. Like, they all
Not
agreed to
as.
be in it. I think that sours a lot of people.
Do you think so?
I think so. I mean, look at, our buddy John Amenta, Patreon subscriber, basically said he had never seen Afterlife, and you'd think that was a movie he saw, but I think he actually said in the text when he said he never saw it, was that Answer the Call was such a stink bomb, he didn't wanna see it, and I think that's a lot of people. I mean, the movie still did okay for its time when it
Mhm.
was coming out, but also, yeah, I feel like you're right that when this came out, people were still not quite ready. I mean, you still had people that were nervous all the times. I'm pretty sure this was still we were cleaning seats. I'm pretty sure we still had the space between seats for everybody, so
I'm
it was
laughing
still a
because
bad time.
I'm laughing because I'm remembering us spraying the disinfectant everywhere over on the seats and just like spraying each other. I mean, no, we weren't doing that, but we were.
You're fooling around.
Come on, what a joke. But even now, because we still know people that work in the business.
Sure.
Even now, with right now as we're recording this, Dune Part 2 is out. It just came out, and it's a big film. But that's it. That's all they've got coming out. Like, there's no like.
Oh, you don't necessarily mean that audiences aren't ready to come back. You mean that movies haven't really recovered in
Well,
general. You mean like the
they
business
haven't recovered
itself.
from the strike, from the writer's strike, and from the actor strike, from the guild strike. Yes,
That's
yes.
gonna really affect people in next year, though.
No, well, I think you're gonna have a backloaded to 2024, but also, Mike. I mean, for those out there who don't know, July is another date that you might have another strike. The IATSE strike might happen, so you might have another shutdown, which is fun.
Nice.
But honestly, pay people. But regardless of that, let's get back to Ghostbusters. I don't know why we got off on this tangent. I just don't think they're. I don't think. Well, I think we both think this, that theaters are not going to return back to the way they used to be, and they never were. Like, we always talked about when we were sitting in the theater when we were working. We always talked about how, like, we weren't doing well. We weren't doing the same business as usual.
Oh, even before pandemic,
Yeah, it was slowing
things
down.
were going
All
this
the
way.
pandemic did was speed it up, and it was just kind of like yeah, this is what's going to happen. I think there's going to be some changes, but who cares? Anyways, Ghostbusters, Ghostbusters
Uh,
After the Call,
so with
or
Ghostbusters, one of the things
Afterlife, After the
after
Call. I'm combining movies now.
after the call, that's the sequel to Answer the Call we never got.
Excellent.
Tier. One of the things I really like about this film, I don't know if you saw it this way, but even the first time I saw it, I like how they went with it's not a silly kind of comedy like the original two. And I like that
Mhm.
they didn't go that route because clearly that didn't really work. Like you said, comedy is just not the same anymore, which is how you get Answer the Call, and it's just a mess. But they took another 80s formula of the kind of quintessential like 80s coming of age film, and they
Mhm.
transferred Ghostbusters into that. So it's still got this kind of 80s vibe, but within a different genre. And
Mhm.
that's one of the things I really liked about it the first time I watched it was like an 80s coming of age film in the Ghostbusters universe.
Yeah, I think you have your your Ghostbusters, which are the two adults the two adults will be technically Ghostbusters now in this new film. So the kids are all the Ghostbusters, and they're not comedians. They're like you said, they're kids. They're not like all the Ghostbusters, including Answer the Call, had 4 comedians in the main roles,
Right.
making jokes, cracking jokes. Like that was the whole part of it. This obviously flips that script. So I think, and plus the Ghostbusters, the original Ghostbusters, Murray and Aykroyd and Hudson are older now. So it makes sense that they wouldn't be cracking jokes like they did in 84, like they did in 89. Like they would be just kind of like older, wiser, just kind of more serious. And, so I think that absolutely that works. And even when you see them, even when they come back and even when Bill Murray's cracking jokes, it's not like, it's like it's still done. There's reverence there. There's really not like it's not a sarcastic. You know what I mean? He's just
Right.
like, even when at the end of the thing when he kneels down, he's like, "Hey, we're gonna go get some cocoa. Some of us are gonna have rum in it. Some aren't." Like that kind
Yeah.
of thing. Like, that's
Yeah.
fun. You know what I mean? Like that's a great line. That's funny, but it's not like it's not in there to specifically make you laugh. It's in there because it's in the moment. It's something somebody would say in that moment, and it's funny. So it's more organic, and I think like that kind of
Right.
comedy works. Yeah. So no, I agree with that. Absolutely.
What did you think of Phoebe as a main character?
I think it works, and she's it's funny because she's supposed to be like, I think I had my note was here. She's supposed to be Egon, obviously. No, she's the Egon character, but a bit more like a bit more serious. Although I think her best thing, her attempts to try to be humorous, to try to be
Oh, the jokes.
funny. Yeah, the jokes are funny, but the jokes are terrible. But when she
Yeah.
tells the joke to Gruberson and she does that wink, I thought that was a really good, perfect time. I thought that was really good
Oh, yep.
timing. It was a really good joke. Yeah, I enjoyed that. Um, I don't. She's good. She's smart. She's funny, and she's a strong lead, and she carries the movie for a little bit.
Right.
Her relationship with her brother, which is played by Wolf Hard, is good. It's not. It's a real brother sister relationship. It's not antagonistic, but it's supportive. You know what I mean? It's supportive, but
Right.
it's ribbing. You know what I mean? So I thought that was good. I still don't like podcast. I can't.
Oh, I
I,
like podcasts.
I don't. He's got some funny stuff. He says some funny things, but like it's just I don't know. I have a problem with uh maybe it's just me. Maybe I just have a problem. I just not a fan. I mean, he's fine. It's not like I'm like I hate it. I think I don't like the fact that he calls himself podcast because I think it's dumb. But again, we've got Gruberson in here, so what does it matter to me?
I think it's
What am I
just that the
talking
kids
about?
in school make fun of him and call him that, so he's just kinda
No, he
owned
said
it.
he called it himself. He's like,
Oh, I know
he said it.
he calls himself Podcast, but I think he
Yeah.
kind of adopted the name because people are probably making fun of him. He's just like, "You know what?
Well, just
I'm
they
alright,
don't
I'm Podcast."
kids don't get
With
bullied
his
anymore. What are you talking about? Bullying
with
is
his
out.
with his one listener,
Yeah, which is Ray, of
which
course.
turns out to be Ray. I like that.
um, did you like uh the gunner seat in the Ecto one?
I did. Do you wanna know why? Because I had that toy.
Of course you did. That's part of my notes. Yeah, no, of course you did. Do you still have that toy? Probably worth a lot of money.
No, I'm pretty sure I busted my Ecto one.
Come on, man.
I know.
So I mean, I wasn't gonna write them all out because there's just so many of them, but there's so many callbacks to the other movies.
Oh,
And,
absolutely.
and I was just like, there's just way too many. I can't.
The best one I noticed this time that I didn't note really pay attention to in the last one is when Phoebe first goes down into Egon's little bunker thing, and there's jars of spores, molds, and funguses, and I was like,
Mhm.
"Ah, that's good. That's a good one."
Yep.
That was probably my
Uh,
favorite, like, little mini one.
the book stacking, when they go in, just there's a bunch of different callbacks. There's a bunch of different, like, I know that Muncher's supposed to be like a Slimer type guy, but like not a
Mhm.
fun Slimer, like he's supposed to be mean. But
Well, he
he's got
shoots
like
bullets, basically.
yeah, I know. But he's got that he's got that moment when he's on the fire hydrant and they're looking at him. He's just like, "Meh, meh," and he turns the fire
Oh, he
hydrant
slowly turns it
before.
on, yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was good. Like there's little things here and there that are just really good. I thought it was funny to. I thought it was smart to open him when he's in the trap and they open him up and he eats his way out like that. That was a good moment.
That was good, yep.
So I mean, yeah, and the opening sequence, the whole opening sequence is good. Like I know I talked about the fight, but the whole opening sequence with Egon being chased and sitting in the chair, like that whole thing, that was a callback with the hands coming out. When Callie gets possessed, there is no Zool, there's no mom, there's only Zool, like that's like all that stuff. So
Well, the beginning is how, like, the first time I saw it, I was like, "Alright, this is already gonna be better than Answer the Call." Not only because they're using all the old music, but because it's creepy, it's scary, it's gritty, it's dark.
sure.
It's the one thing I, like, hammered home every time we've been watching all these movies is you need that real world tone to your
Mhm.
movie. It can't be this bright, stupid, cartoony Marvel movie. It just can't. It doesn't work like
No.
that. And I think that's where Answer the Call failed, and I think that's where Afterlife really succeeds. And that's kind of what I hope Frozen Empire kind of continues, although it looks a little more silly.
Yeah, I was gonna say maybe at the end of this, we should probably talk about our expectations for what we
Frozen
anticipate for
Empire.
the new one, or what we kind of there's some I don't have concerns, but I'm just like, is this gonna be good? Like that kind of thing. So we'll save that for later.
All right.
I did like, I mean, the location, the shot in Alberta, Canada, but it looks good. The location has a lot of atmosphere, almost like when we talk about New York, and New York
Right.
has a lot of atmosphere, and so the location is definitely a player here in this movie. It's definitely a character. So I thought that worked well, especially when he's driving the Ecto one in the fields. What did you think that was CGI when he's driving in the wheat field? If it's wheat at all?
I kept turning back and forth from it. I think maybe some of the wheat is, but I don't think the actual Ecto One is. I think
Okay.
it's a little bit of both. I think maybe there's a lot of fill-in because obviously you can't have the car just keep hitting the wheat. It's gonna get in the engine.
Yeah.
It's gonna screw things up. But I
Well,
think that
for
it's
the
actually
for the
driving
shot though.
probably on a field. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I that's like a random whatever.
My thing
Uh
about the farm is they're walking every day back. Like Phoebe walks every day back home. Do you see how long it is just to turn around the mountain? Like how far away that farm is from anything?
it's country living.
That's a
Right there.
6-hour walk back home from school.
Oh, Clark Kent did it in Superman.
I think even the
That's just
Kent
how it
farm
is.
is closer than that. And Clark had super speed.
Well, that's true. Well, his dad did that. Um, did you see the note that Paul Rudd turned down a chance to reprise his role of Tommy Doyle in Halloween Kills for this film? Like
I
he was
did
gonna,
see that.
he was gonna be, which it's like good call, good
Yeah.
call. Halloween Kills is the second one. That's the second film, right? Because Halloween Ends is the third one, right?
The first one's just called Halloween.
Yeah, I think it's the
Yeah, then
second one.
Kills is the second one. Yeah,
Yeah.
he made the right choice. I'm sorry, I'm gonna be a Ghostbuster, or I can just have a bit cameo. No,
Yeah, of
come
course,
on.
obviously,
What, so
obviously.
he could shout "Evil dies tonight" 8,000 times? Come on.
Was that the second one they do that? Or was that the last one? I can't
That's the
remember
second
the
one.
second one. No, they're no. That's for another day. All right. So besides because we both kind of talked about the the beginning being a little slow. Was there anything else, and you talked about how, like, they mentioned they hold on to the fact that Spenglers are, that they say that, like, she like that
Right.
Phoebe says that. Is there anything else in this movie that kind of, not that you hated, but just were kind of like, like you weren't a huge fan of, or kind of took you out of the movie? I've got one, but
Well, I said before, I don't think that Lucky and Trevor's relationship
true, right,
is anything
right.
I care about. I think that they make a big deal about the age difference, but also it's not a big deal and it really doesn't come up, and that's not what the movie's about. Maybe there are cut scenes that maybe expand upon it that I don't want in the movie to begin with, because I think it takes up too much space. So like I don't like
Yeah,
that.
maybe
Ivo
with the other
Shandor
friends
being
too.
what's up?
Maybe with the other friends too, because
Oh,
in
the
the
other friends
scene,
definitely have a part to it.
where they're looking at the map,
The friends are all
the
around them.
friends are around them, and like
Yep.
they're turning, but they never really kind of expand on that. So I think maybe they might have been at some point part of that.
I feel like they're probably up above letting the elevator go down to the mountain, and we just don't see them.
Mm-hmm.
But they're probably there at that mountaintop scene in some way or another.
Right, but you were going to talk about Shandor.
Oh, I think, I mean, I like that he's a little bit part. They got J.K. Simmons. That's great. But this is a character who has been built up over these two movies, the first one and this one. And then he just kind of immediately gets ripped up. Like,
Yeah,
I just think that's kind of a waste that, like, there could have been more there.
yeah. I mean, there's no build up with Ivo Shandor where you're just like, you would that be a moment where you laugh at you know what I mean? Like,
Right.
there's no backstory. They don't have any flashbacks of him or anything like that. So you have no relationship to him. So you know what I mean? Like, you just see him once, and then he's just like, and then he's
Then he
split in
gets
half.
ripped
And you're
up.
like, all right, yeah,
Exactly. It's not a big payoff because I just don't care. It's like
yeah.
he's supposed to be this big bad, but we never get to see him be the big bad. And
Hmm.
like you said, there's no funny moment with him, so it's pointless.
Hmm.
Plus, you already have Olivia Wilde as
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 Gozer.
Gozer's embodiment, which is already distracting. And then because it's just like, is that Olivia? I think that's Olivia Wilde. And then, like immediately she rips up Ivo Shandor, so you don't even have a moment to really process that second part.
So how come in this one she doesn't ask them to choose their destructor? How come that's not? How come that doesn't come up? They just don't get to it.
I think, yeah, I think it just doesn't come up because it doesn't come up. She's sitting on the throne, then she gets distracted by a little
Sure.
girl, and then all of a sudden one of the demon dogs gets captured, which they didn't try in Ghostbusters 1. So
Hmm.
then she's just pissed. Whereas in
Right.
Ghostbusters 1, she deals with Ray real quick and then goes, all right, let's carry on the ceremony. In this one, she doesn't
Hmm.
get to carry on the ceremony.
Hmm. Okay. So there's a moment in the when they save Callie, and she's in the Ecto one and they're driving away, and they they're driving away, and Trevor turns to her and tells her that, get Gruberson's the other hellhound. There's really no way he would know that. There's really no way that he would know that's Gruberson, because he doesn't know that he was taken at that Walmart. There's no
That's
mention of the
true.
fact that he's missing. So there's no way he knows that that's him. So when he said that, I'm like, yeah, unless we missed a scene.
Yeah,
I
unless
was
there's
like,
a cut scene.
yeah. So it's like, you shouldn't know who the other hellhound is.
I didn't really catch that either
Yeah,
when
because
he
he
said that.
says that
But yeah,
she's like, "What's going on?" He's like, "Oh, your date or your boyfriend or whatever it was." He makes a comment like that, and it's just like, you wouldn't know that. That's like towards the end. So if you watch it again, heads up on that. Be Mister Nitpicky. Apologies.
I know that they talk about that in the basement where they're like the keymaster has to smash the gatekeeper or whatever, and they're like, and the Lucky goes, "Go, mom."
I don't know if I
Wonder
was. Go ahead.
if you were what?
No, if I was the son, I'd be like, "Oh, come on, it's my
Yeah,
mom."
exactly. uh, one of the nitpicky things I had was, so the whole farm is a ghost trap, right? The whole entire farm.
Right.
Egon should have gotten sucked in or destroyed.
Yes. Agreed. Yes.
I mean,
But
that whole last moment's nice. You know, I cry a little bit, but
you baby.
Egon's dead. Egon gets sucked up. There's no
Yeah.
way. I mean, it's killing Gozer. Egon,
All
who's
the
been a
ghosts are
ghost
sucked.
for
It's
10,
not even that.
10
Like,
days.
all the ghosts are sucked in. Gozer goes into one of the traps. You don't know which one, but Gozer goes into one of the
Right.
traps. All the other ghosts are sucked in except Egon. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
He should be in this trap.
Yep.
You're right.
Unless he had like a little anti-ghost trap thing around his wrist or something.
No, he does
That they
not. No,
explained
he does not.
No,
He
that they
does
would
not.
have to have explained earlier, like, "This'll keep you
Right.
safe," but then you'd have to show him up earlier.
One of the other notes that I read was the timeline in terms of Callie being born and
Oh, it doesn't match up.
how
Yeah, I
old
was
she
thinking the
is.
same thing.
No, she would have had to been born in 1980 or 81 in order for her to be the age she is and to be in the photo like she's 2 or 3 years old. So we're supposed to believe that when Egon is in the first film, he has a child
Are we just not
uh
talking about it?
that he has no relationship with, or he has no mention of this person that he had the child with or the child in and of itself. So it's like, I mean, it's like, yes, that's possible, but I think, and I don't know how you feel about this. This kind of is what you get when you start, revisiting these characters, doing these remakes, or not remakes, but reboots, or reimaginings. You bring these characters back, you create
You
paths that
create
weren't there
sons
before.
and yeah.
Right. You essentially affect um those characters in other movies. So now knowing this, obviously it's not going to affect somebody's watch of Ghostbusters the original.
Right.
But the character's different now. The character is, now this. Now you have this information that the Egon from the 1984 film has a daughter that he doesn't talk to.
Well, it's not that he doesn't talk to her while he's in New York. He doesn't talk to her. She gets mad when he leaves and moves away. So
Sure.
what I think what this movie supposes is there's just a daughter in Ghostbusters 1 that we just see nothing of, but she's there.
But we
And then
never
he
make
leaves her
mention.
after, we don't even know if Vigo happened, or if the movie's going to ignore the events of the second film.
No, that doesn't ignore the events of the second film, because they've said it doesn't. Because they've also said that there's a chance they could revisit Vigo in a future
Oh,
movie.
okay.
So that 1 and 2 happen in this world.
So then he's with her from 1981 till she's 9 years old, and then he leaves her.
Right.
Then he has to leave because Ghostbusters 2 is 89, right?
Ghostbusters 2 is 89.
So so then after 89 he leaves. So she's 8 or 9, and then he leaves.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it really messed with the timeline. I thought that when I first saw the film, she would have to be younger than me for the timeline to make sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
She'd have to be born in like 1990.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it kind of, it is what it is, but still. I also saw a note that they were going to put in references and Easter eggs to other movies from the 80s and 90s to imply that there was a shared universe with movies like Gremlins and Goonies and Speed and Twister and Summer School and Jurassic Park. I'm like, are you kidding me?
No.
Why? Thank God they did not. Thank God they cut that out.
Oh, come on.
Yeah. Dumb. Like,
You want to combine movies, maybe have like a Freddy Krueger reference in there. I wouldn't mind a Ghostbusters versus Freddy Krueger thing, but it's got to be something stupid like that. Not that every 80s film you ever loved takes place in the same universe.
Dumb.
I hate
dumb.
that. I hate that a lot.
I know. I'm glad they didn't do that.
I did like the note I read that I guess McKenna Grace and what's her face? Carrie Coon had to read Harold Ramis's daughter's memoir.
Yeah.
Before they actually did this film, which I thought was a really interesting note.
It's smart. It's good. It's nice to do.
Get in the head of like, I was Egon's daughter, and it's like, or no, what's the title of the book? Growing Up a Ghostbusters Daughter?
I think so.
Yeah, something like that. So I liked that quite a bit, that they had to read that in order to kind of get into their head, and that she was signed off on the movie because of that.
That's where everyone knows him from. Never, I mean, no one. We know that he's a director, a writer, director.
Mm-hmm.
We know that he was in Stripes. We know that he directed Groundhog Day, but like, not only people know him only from Ghostbusters.
Absolutely.
And they may know him from. He played in Knocked Up. He plays Seth Rogen's dad, right? In Knocked Up, is that right?
Oh, maybe. I haven't seen that movie.
He's in or This Is 40. He's in one of those. He's in one of the Apatow films. So that's the only place they know him from. So no, it's smart. It's really smart. That's what everyone knows him from. Scott Mendelson of Forbes gave the film a score of 6 out of 10. I don't know why he's rating films to 10. describing it as a charming and witty kid-centric coming-of-age fantasy, but criticized its reliance on pandering, nostalgic fan service, which we talked about. That this
I
doesn't
don't think
do.
it panders at all.
It's just because you're continuing a story that's 40 years old doesn't, you're not
Is it
pandering. You're just
Yeah.
continuing a story.
Yep. All the nostalgia, I think, or much of the nostalgia services the story.
Well, what? Because the Ghostbusters show up and they're wearing the uniforms? Well, they're supposed to. Like, that's the uniform. You know, why wouldn't they? Because they find the Ecto-1? That's the whole point.
Right. Because you have the musical cue callbacks. It's the music of the franchise.
I think those music.
When Star Wars films don't have John Williams music now in any of the Disney Plus things, I'm like, what the hell is this? You know, you have to have those. The music, especially, is what helps connect the world. I would say maybe the Stay Puft Marshmallow guys, even though they're funny, that's just kind of a little bit of fan service.
I think they're done okay. I think they're done well though, because they're
done well. They're definitely funny and cute, but they definitely don't make sense.
No, they don't make sense, because then that would imply that Gozer, who is
has chosen tiny Stay Puft Manor.
Or remembers the last time I was here. I had the Destructor was a Stay Puft. You know what? I'm gonna send some Stay Puffs everywhere. That you're absolutely right. That makes no sense, because no ghosts have escaped. You know what I mean? Like,
right. And the dogs don't create ghosts, because they would have done that in the first movie.
So, like, the Muncher, no one explains why all of a sudden Muncher's there. Like,
I think it's just convenient. They get into the one place they're practicing the proton pack is the one place a ghost is in town.
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
because the ghosts don't escape until after, because then Muncher goes in the mountain for safety and then leaves again when.
Right.
Or no, he doesn't quite get that. He's going that far.
To be fair, they don't really show it in the first film either, so that's fair. I mean, they escape once that's a great when the containment unit just is blown up and they're escaping everywhere. They show that, and you kind of get that kind of similarity when when Gozer escapes and when they escape their prison. So you kind of get that same kind of thing. Yeah. The Guardian critic, Charles Bramesco, gave it 1 out of 5, Butler, finding it lacks the humor of the original Ghostbusters, and instead resembles an, quote, Amblin knockoff that is similar to the television series Stranger Things. All right. Bramesco concluded that it is a, quote, nostalgic object drained of personality and fitted into a dully palatable mold custom made for a fandom that worships everything and respects nothing, end quote.
Well, first of all, this MFer probably really liked to answer the call, so I don't care what he has to say. Second of all, it is like an Amblin film, but I think that's great. It's not trying to be this silly comedy like Ghostbusters, because you can't. You're not going to match that. The last one tried and failed abysmally.
Yeah.
Abysmally failed. Yeah.
I mean, again, you bring up Stranger Things because Finn Wolfhard's in there. That's why you bring it up, number one.
Absolutely. He's buzzwords.
Yeah. And again, we talk about how, yes, that mines nostalgia the wrong way. This film does not do that. Just because a film makes you nostalgic for the older Ghostbusters, because it's a film that is very similar to an 80s film, that kind of adventure, that doesn't mean it's bad. It just means that it's doing the job, that it's doing the right thing. There's a lot of times when we watch a film and we're just like, oh, if that movie came out in the 80s, I would love that film. Tomorrowland. I say that all the time about Tomorrowland. If Tomorrowland came out,
Tomorrowland.
It's because it's a great film. It's a great film, and I will fight anybody. No, I'm just kidding. I will discuss it with anybody that doesn't like it. But if that movie came out in the late 80s, it would be an absolute classic. But that's the thing. Like, it's not a bad thing to be nostalgic. It is bad when every piece of frame of a TV or film is just screams 80s. You know what I mean? Like, which we talk about. But that is not this movie. He's definitely off base here a little bit. I think he's off base.
I agree.
So I always like giving you the bad reviews, Butler. All right, so let's talk a little bit about our expectations now of Frozen Empire, because it's a direct sequel to this one. They did something good with this one where they took it out of New York and they put it somewhere else. But now we're going back to New York. Now we're going back to conceivably a ghost that is not part of the canon at all. We're not revisiting anything. It's completely new. I assume it's completely different and new. Do you have high expectations? Do you have tempered expectations? Are
I
you
like that they're
like,
back in New York as Ghostbusters because it's Ghostbusters. You had the first one where they're rediscovering Ghostbusters. Now they have to be Ghostbusters. There has to be that payoff. I like how this last one ends with, Zeddemore kind of lamenting the end of the Ghostbusters and wanting to turn things around again. I like that he's got a lot of money, so he has the capability, he has the tools and the talent, as he would say.
as he did
Uh,
say?
but from what I've seen, and I've tried to stay away from the most recent trailer. The movie's coming out soon enough. Like I
I
saw
saw one
trailer 1
trailer.
and
I'm good
2.
enough. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I know there's a trailer 3, but I haven't watched that. You brought back Podcast and Lucky. Why? Their parents suddenly moved to New York with you guys? That they're
Yeah.
Ghostbusters in New York City? I don't like that. I did
Mhm.
like Podcast. Lucky was neither here nor there. I said I had my problems with their relationship to begin with. Now they're New York as Ghostbusters. I don't buy it. I guess all right, we're 18 now. We're gonna move to New York City, I guess, and be Ghostbusters.
Mhm.
Okay.
Mhm.
I'll I'll allow that explanation, but I still won't like it. It's very convenient.
Mhm.
And the movie itself looks very cartoony in terms of which I know that's what the new director who's the writer in the last one,
Gil Keenan.
Gil Keenan. One of the things he was saying he wants to kind of get back to the real Ghostbusters cartoon, which growing up I loved.
Mhm.
I don't know if that makes for a good live action movie.
Mhm.
Um, the lions coming to life in the museum piece and just it looks like a lot of over reliance on CG. Although I think the Frozen Empire bad guy does look pretty creepy in a couple of the shots I saw.
Mhm.
I just don't know. And it also Patton Oswalt's in it,
Mhm.
and I like Patton Oswalt.
But he's not exactly, a
It's
seal of approval in a movie.
he's not a seal of approval, and he's usually like that seems like fan service. Like, hey guys, I really like
Sure.
Ghostbusters. Can I be in it? If it becomes a cameo fest like Answer the Call, I can't excuse this movie and hate it and Answer the Call. I have to hate it in both.
Mhm.
It's just I don't know. I don't know. I have tempered expectations.
So you have
There's nothing
concerns. You have
wrong with it being
concerns.
the cartoon, but it's still got to be a gritty Ghostbusters movie. It can't just be a kids film because
Clearly,
that's not what
nobody.
kids like
Yeah.
about the first Ghostbusters.
Right. Yeah. Nobody goes into I don't go into a film wanting it to be bad. I mean, I'll go into a film thinking like, oh my god, this is gonna be.
This is gonna
I
be
don't.
bad.
Yeah, but like I don't want it to be bad. I want to be pleasantly surprised. But I think I'm kind of I'm a little bit on the fence like you are. And I think partly because this movie Afterlife was done really well. It was a nice send off. It was great for the whole Egon storyline. It was just a solid story in terms of a nice way to kind of complete the Ghostbusters a little bit. So then I'm like, I mean, why do we have to go back and why do we have to go back to them again? Like, I get it, money, and the first one did well. And maybe they're doing this because what we talked about before, where the first one didn't have a chance to do well because of the pandemic and the pushback. So maybe this is part of that. Okay. I just don't see how it's going to do that. I think I have the same kind of tempered enthusiasm as you do. Like, I just don't. There was excitement for the first one because it's been so long, but because we
Yep.
hadn't seen the Ecto one again. Now it's like, okay, well, we had this. Now this better be really good. Like, this has to be good. And I don't know. I mean, again, I don't walk into the theater hoping it's bad, but I'm a little bit hesitant.
Yeah. I mean, they have the Ghost Core company or whatever Sony does.
Sure,
So
that's fine. Yeah, and
they
listen,
have
they're
to keep pumping them out.
and they'll find fans, and maybe we're too old to be this. Like, maybe we're just not the audience for it. We're not the target audience for it. It's for younger kids. You know what I mean?
Maybe. But if
I
he's
mean, we're
going
the
for the
old.
real Ghostbusters feel, I feel like he's
No,
going for exactly my generation.
but we talk.
Give me
What about?
those Ecto Drake's cakes. Let me get those green apple pies.
But there's
Bring back
like,
Ecto
this
Coolers.
is the Star Wars stuff. There's a generation of kids that love the
Clone Wars cartoons. Yeah.
no, not even the cartoons, but that love
They
the.
don't love the new trilogy.
So listen to this. So we're watching. This is Dexter and I had started. My son Dexter and I, we had watched Phantom Menace, and then for a while he's like, "How come we haven't watched the other ones?" I go, "Well, because you haven't said let's watch it." So we finally watched Attack of the Clones. Start it. I'm like, it's 2 hours and 20 minutes. So just let me know, like, if you
It's
want to pause
boring.
it and we'll come back to it. Yeah. Holy crap. When we get to when the whole stuff, I had to explain to him who Anakin was. And I had to explain to him who the
Oh, that he
queen
was
was.
him
Like,
growing up.
yeah, all that stuff. And then like they're like kissing and he's just I'm like next to him and I'm just like ew and he's just like what, and so it's so boring when they get to Naboo and he's riding the things. I'm just like, he's like, yeah, we can pause it here, like he just like he wanted nothing to do with it.
I
So
think
like,
I've told
okay.
you that I watched it in theaters once, and then I watched it at home once, and then I have not one time been able to watch Attack of the Clones without falling asleep.
Yeah,
And I
no, I hear
never
that.
fall asleep during movies. It's just like, especially
Yeah,
once you know what's happening, you don't. It's so boring.
yeah. So I mean, to be fair, to bring it back to Ghostbusters, Frozen Empire doesn't look like it's gonna be that. It looks like it's just gonna be,
It's gonna be
hopefully
a
a lot of
lot.
action, a lot of fun, a lot of comic stuff that Butler said, like a lot of animated style, whatever. We'll see.
Janine
But
gets in
yeah,
a Ghostbusters outfit.
I didn't know
I
that.
am.
So
I know that they say, and Rick Moranis has said he'll never do a Ghostbusters film, but part of me really hopes he makes an appearance in this
oh,
one.
you think that he's got a secret appearance?
I just part of me is just like, come on, man. Because I know Answer the Call was kind of pooped on, and that's why he was like, I didn't want to have any part in this one. But
It makes no
like,
sense for him to be
come
in. It made no sense for him to be in Afterlife, but being back in the city, okay,
on.
fine,
Yeah,
that makes sense.
especially if he's
If
with
he,
Janine.
yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I think there's a big uh there's a big push there. People really want Rick Moranis to come back, and he's just like, I'm cool, I made my money, but
Yeah.
people really want him to come back. I was watching a clip. We're off topic again, but I was watching a clip online. I was talking about how you don't remember this, but Saturday Night Live, Bruce Willis came out one when he was hosting and he started playing the harmonica with the band. And so the next episode of Saturday Night Live was Rick Moranis was hosting. So Rick Moranis comes out and he's just like, next week he's like, hey, and he grabs the guitar, starts playing the guitar. Then he has a saxophone player bring the saxophone over to him. He's blowing on the sax, he's playing the guitar, and he's playing like all these instruments. It's just like nice. So I thought that was funny. But yeah, maybe he'll be in it, brother. Maybe that'll be a good thing. But we can't know. We have to like pretend we don't know because I don't know when we're gonna watch it. We're gonna try to get there, early or at some point. We still
I
have to
mean,
watch
when we're
Dune
recording
Part
this, we
Two.
still haven't watched Dune Part 2 yet. So yeah.
Well, we're busy people, Butler.
I know.
We're moving and shaking.
Got a lot of editing to do.
Right. All right. So that's our Ghostbusters Afterlife take, and join us for Frozen Empire. Hopefully, hopefully if you're seeing this later. Butler, why don't you just do our spiel because I don't know where I'm going.
So thank you for watching our lead up series. I think we're still going to call Frozen Empire lead up, or is that's probably just going to be now showing, right?
Oh yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, that'll be a now
Yeah.
showing.
So that's
Good
going to be
job.
one of our now showings, like Dune 2, which if by the time this comes out, our Dune 2 review will be out. So those will be our now showings. You'll get to live stream those if you're a Patreon member at the right tier, and then they'll come out later on for everybody to just watch. So if you guys want to jump on our Patreon, become a member at the right tier for live streams, you guys can ask us questions, chat with us about the movie, and then we'll put your chats up there and we'll have it so that when we release the episodes, you'll have a voice in Forgotten Cinema, which I think is kind of cool. After watching Afterlife, we do have another lead up series, although it's a short one. We have our Roadhouse episode, which will be coming out either the same week as this Afterlife episode or a week later. I'd have to relook at the calendar.
You do. Yeah.
But yeah, so shortly after this, that's our next lead up. And then I'm not sure what our lead up will be next.
Well, we never
I know
talked
the
about
next big movie is
Godzilla.
Godzilla, but I don't know if we have time to
Yeah.
do a full lead up for
Yeah.
that. That might
I
just
mean,
be an
because I'd want to like not even that, but like we'd have to watch like 6 films, and plus we'd have to reference the old stuff, right? Like, do I have to watch Monarch, the TV show, on Apple? Like, so many things, Butler.
My parents say
I
it's
think
really good. I haven't had a chance to watch it yet.
I think we talked about doing Planet of the Apes. That's what I think what we were gonna do.
Planet of the Apes is definitely going to be one of our lead ups.
Because I haven't seen all those films.
Right?
Right. I think that's the next big one. So that's 3 films, and this will be the 4th one. So that's probably a good one.
Yeah. So that's probably going to be our next lead up. So that's a while from now, but we're going to do a bunch of now showings, which, like I said, if you're on I believe it's the 3rd tier, you get the live stream with us, and then we'll put them out for the public. But yeah, if you guys are watching this, thank you for being patrons. There's going to be a whole lot more content as well.
In the main show.
yeah, we'll find other bonus episodes. The main show's still coming out May 1st. There's still, stickers and live streams and commercials and just the Discord. Just we want to talk to you guys. We want to hear from you on that Discord. So if you guys join the Patreon, you get on that. We can talk movies. We can be a place for people to discuss movies in more than 10 stupid sentences against Disney bots who just talk about Marvel all day. We'll have a separate tab that no one will join for Marvel discussion. It will be banned from general discussion.
We're the bots.
We're the bots. But yeah, thanks for being a patron. Thanks for watching this. We hope you guys have liked our first lead up series. Join us next time for Roadhouse. And
I'm Mike Field.
I'm Mike Butler.
And this has been Forgotten Cinema Lead Up.